For those this is new to, or those that this is a reminder to, these are the warning signs of a potentially violent individual. This whole document, I'm not going to read verbatim. You can access it at www.school-security-consulting.com or email us at staff@newdawnsecurity.com for the entire document. I am going to go through a couple things in a, not so much that this doesn't deserve a lot of attention, but in a thorough manner that can provide you with some of the highlights, if you will, of what you're looking for, and more importantly, what to do if you see it. So first and foremost, signs that somebody might have a violent past, a historic violent past, and that again leads them to some violent tendencies. If at their first age, the three top in this is at a very young age, a developmental age, they witnessed or were a part of, as a victim or even a participant, of an extremely violent act. They were either a witness, or they participated, or they were a victim of an extremely violent act. If you know a student or an individual that has had this in this past, again, having this or any one of the other characteristics we name does not mean that they are potentially violent. It does mean that that is something to take and keep aware of. If they demonstrate 2 or 3 or 4 of these, that's something to have a little bit more of an elevated concern with. Any questions on that, please don't hesitate to call and ask us or to contact us. A couple other things. Along with having a violence in their past, if they've had some sort of abuse or neglect on an ongoing basis, if they're a sexual abuse victim and have been for a long time, if there is a family or family unit that condones and exhibits threats of violence or acts of violence, that again, could that be as simple as participating in doing a lot of violent video games? Absolutely. What's more apt to this is a family that has a lot of domestic violence and or a lot of really severe roughhousing. If violence is part of their life and it is on a sustainable basis, then yes, they have the potential to be violent or even more violent than a normal act. Other signs of potential violence, and these are things that are contributory to an elevated risk, meaning something that's going to start low and can continue to rise until, quite honestly, explodes or ends up in an incident of violence. If an individual has access to or fascination with weapons, if they have some of those historical patterns, it matters a lot. If they have none of those historical patterns that we mentioned and went through, if they have, this is the important part, regardless of that, if they have access or a demonstrated fascination with weapons, especially guns or role-playing with guns, that lends them to be potentially violent. Again, you may not know their family history or their long individual history, but knowing that they have a fascination with or a preoccupation with gun or role-playing with guns is definitely a warning sign. The second most apt or highlighted condition, if you will, is they have a demonstrated inability to control their anger, or their anger control methods are really being utilized a lot or being continually unsuccessful, if that makes sense. They are really, they have trouble controlling their feelings of anger, put it in a more simple way. So again, if they have access to and fascination with weapons or trouble controlling controlling feelings of anger, those are things to be on the lookout for. Last but not least, they're feeling constantly disrespected. Those 3 things are the key, and if I see this demonstrated by an individual, I need to make sure that an administrator, somebody that can provide help, somebody other than just me knows about it and we're doing something about it. And last but not least, some of the signs of potential violence that could spring up and really be new or active signs. Things that they have some family history, there's some of these characteristics involved, but in the end, if they have 1 or 2 of these things, these characteristics and they're on display, that's need for frequent notification of somebody, or excuse me, immediate notification of somebody in authority. Frequent physical fighting. If they have a discipline log and it's continually either used or in possession of fighting on a regular basis and or being involved in numerous verbal altercations, that type of thing, those are kind of warning signs immediate. They're increasing their risk-taking behavior. That's a big one. Their school performance is not so much declining over a long period of time, but immediately declining and sustaining that declining rate. And then announcing threats or plans of hurting one is obviously a no-brainer. That's the immediate red flag, along with planning how to commit acts of violence. Those are the things that immediately we're going to do something about. This one has been key in every single aspect of violence at schools, and every type of characteristic has been around. They have a perceived sense of loss. And it could be as minor as a pet, as major as a best friend or girlfriend, but especially with the middle school age, it revolves around losing a member of the opposite sex. These type, and even in the high school, these type of perceived sense of loss, coupled with a low self-esteem, coupled with young age of historical violence, these are all things that make students and individuals warning signs for potential violence. Us discussing them is great. You being able to go through this document and or discuss and pick one or two of these as a reminder, that's even better. But better than all of those things is keeping a watch and look out for these type of things and reporting them immediately when you see them, and having kids and students do the same. If they see warning signs of these type of things, or they come to you and say, hey, my friend so-and-so is off, he just broke up with his girlfriend and he just isn't doing well, or I got this note, I don't know what to do with it, and it says he's going to harm himself, but I don't think he really is, I think he's kidding. If you get those type of things, please turn them over. Don't ever dismiss them as minor, even if you're 99% sure it's a joke or just a cry for attention. Please let people take that situation and confirm it, and also keep an eye on it. Even if a kid is 100% joking around when he says it, he still said that. Might mean he's not suicidal at this point, but it 100% means that he has the ability to get there long term, or even short term, depending on incidents. School violence outside of school is obviously one of those things that are a major concern. Our knowledge and our education about those situations helps decrease it. Your reporting and involvement really can help prevent it more so than anything else. Thank you for your time. Any questions, please don't hesitate to follow up. And if you're in the process, if you've not watched this as a group and are watching it individually, please email us when you see this so that we can make sure we mark you off as attending this professional development session. Thank you again for your time.